Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Get Booked with Jennifer and Mary. I'm Mary.
I'm Jennifer.
Today we're talking about monsters.
It's Monster Week here at Cragen.
Like the Monster Mash?
Sure.
I heard it was a graveyard smash.
It caught on in a flash.
So what's your first book, Jen?
Alright, so I have Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. And 10 years ago, people suddenly acquired powers, and I'm talking like superhero powers, and they were called epics, but they weren't really good people. They weren't super, they were actually pretty terrible. So this book is what happens when you have to fight the big bad evil monster that has all the powers in the world, and you don't. It is the first in a trilogy.
Cool. I love trilogies, because that means there's 2 more to read. So this one is called The Dark Deep. It's by Ali Condi and Brendan Reichs. This is part of a trilogy as well, I believe. We have books 1 and 2 here at the library. This book is so much fun. It's a shifting perspective, so you get Nico's perspective, and then you also get his best friend, Opal. It's kind of like, what if you took the Goonies and mashed it up with Stranger Things? But it's for middle grade. So there is this island that no one's ever been able to get to, and they find a mysterious way onto the island, and there's this weird houseboat that's just there with all this weird antique junk. But there's also possibly a monster in the well at the bottom of the boat, which is also really weird, because why would there be a well at the bottom of the boat? I don't know. You have to read this book and find out.
Alright, I've got Eliza and Her Monsters. So Eliza has a big secret. She is the creator of an online webcomic called Monstrous Sea. It's super popular. And her worlds collide when one of her biggest fans shows up at school. Not stalkerish, but like actually going to the school. That's important. They become friends. She begins to trust him. She begins to think maybe life outside her little monsters isn't as bad. And then of course everything blows up. So it was super fun. I really liked it.
Something blows up in a YA book?
No!
So my next one is a middle grade graphic novel. It's called Nico Bravo and the Hound of Hades. This is book 1 of a series. I don't think book 2's come out yet. If you like Percy Jackson, this is a great graphic novel for you. So Nico Bravo works for Vulcan in Vulcan's armor shop, and they also sell other magical goods. And he's just hanging out, doing his thing as the shop boy in this town. And then a descendant of Beowulf named Aowulf shows up, and she's like, I'm gonna go kill the Hound of Hades, I'm gonna kill Cerberus. And he's like, no, let's not do that. I know Cerberus, like, he's a really sweet pup, and he has a job to do. And she's like, no, I'm gonna totally take him on. I'm gonna be as great as my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather Beowulf. I'm gonna go slay Cerberus. He's like, no, please don't. He literally keeps people in hell. We can't have, like, a whole bunch of zombies just coming, and undead coming out. And so this is all about Nico trying to stop Aowulf from doing a dumb thing. It's very funny. It's got a lot of laughs in it. But also, if you like a lot of those Greek monsters from the Percy Jackson and other Rick Riordan series, like, this is a really fun one for you.
My next one is also a middle grade graphic novel.
I feel like this is like a sleeper hit, and it's so popular, and it's so good.
We both really like this one. So it's about a boy named AJ who pretends to be a vampire to gain the attraction and interest of his crush, and then finds out there are actually vampires in real life. So it's super funny.
Yeah, it's very, like, middle school hijinks, too. Of, like, if I do this, this girl will like me. My next book is a YA book. It's called Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. This is another shifting perspective book. So there's 3 girls in Sawkill Girls, and they are living on Sawkill Rock, which is like a New England island. And the island is known for, like, this one really rich family that has all these horses, right? So, of course, the really rich family has the mean girl. But it's really weird because all of her best friends go missing. Yeah, and so you have the perspective of the new kid in town who has no idea what's going on, and then her little sister all of a sudden becomes the best friend of the mean girl, so that's suspicious. And then you also have the other girl who is the daughter of the police chief, who also is for an outsider, and she's kind of like watched a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and so she's just like, something is not right here. And also one of her friends all of a sudden dropped her for the mean girl and has gone missing. So it turns out maybe there's a monster in the middle of the woods that's been eating girls for centuries. And you find this out pretty early on, so part of the mystery is, like, how are they going to defeat it? Like, is everybody going to come around? It's a really, really good, spooky book. Like, I got a little creeped out reading it late at night when, like, the wind was blowing, and, like, the trees were hitting my house. So it's a good, scary read.
Alright, my next one is A Curse So Dark and Lonely. And I'm going to read the tagline because it's good. It's fall in love, break the curse, and save the kingdom. It's actually a Beauty and the Beast story. It's the first in a trilogy. This is the second book, A Heart So Fierce and Broken. This book has two perspectives, and this book has a couple different perspectives, but they both are very easy to follow and really cool. This book is out now, but the third book we'll have to wait for. So, a girl in real life falls into, or she's drawn into, Emberfall, where the prince is a monster and he's destroying everything. So that's where you get the kind of fall in love, break the curse, save the kingdom.
Would you say it's possibly like a twisted fairy tale?
It has some of the elements. It has like a lot of Beauty and the Beast elements, but then it kind of spins off.
Yes, it does. I have read this book.
Which is actually similar to this book. I'll just do with this one too, since we'll dive right into that. Sarah J. Maas, if you have seen our Get Booked, you know that we love her.
Yes.
This is the first in another series, not usually the one we talk about, but Corn of Thorns and Roses, which is kind of 3 books, but then there's like more coming-ish.
I think it's a series of like, hey, I'm gonna write this trilogy, and then like she can't quit the book series. Like she just can't. Like there's so many characters, which you don't understand that in the first book, but the second book there's even more.
It's true. So the first book, Feyre?
Yeah.
She kills a wolf. It's winter. She's trying to feed her family. What she doesn't realize is the wolf is a fairy, and Tamlin comes knocking on the door and is like, no. You have to play by the treaty rules, and the treaty rules is a life for a life, which means then either she dies, and either he kills her, or she has to live the rest of her life in his world, which happens. And of course, there's like a darkness coming, and there's monsters and shadows and all sorts of terrible people.
There's a prophecy.
Things. Is there? I don't remember that part.
Yes, there's a prophecy.
So, again, very Beauty and the Beast, the first one, and then it kind of spins you into a direction you're not quite expecting for the second one.
Yeah, because like the second one also has a mythical story element to it as well, and the third one is just off the rails. So, because
That's how she works.
Yeah, because the second one has the Persephone myth in it.
Yeah.
So in the third one, I was like, is there a myth? And it's like, no, it's just a big war. But it was really good. So, anyway, so my next book is a graphic novel for teens and adults. It is really, really fun. Bear with me. It is Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. It is, what if there's a Scooby-Doo gang, and they're older, and theoretically wiser, and they're zombies. There is a zombie apocalypse, and so Scoob and the gang have to fight it. It's super good. My wife actually has every single one of these in single issues. Like, she loves them. But yeah, so it's definitely not what you were expecting, and like Shaggy kind of has like a whole hipster mustache thing going on. So.
And they go really well with your new shoes.
Oh yeah, I have new Scooby-Doo shoes. They glow in the dark. I'm very excited about them because I like Converse because I have a problem. Yeah, and so I'm just gonna go. My next book is called Monstrous by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda, excuse me. This is one of the most beautiful comics I've read in the past like decade. Takeda's art is absolutely amazing. It's also very different because it's very much Asian influenced, and essentially it's about an alternate world where there's like a teen survivor of a cataclysmic war between the humans and the Arcanics, and the Arcanics are kind of like fairy animal type people. But the whole story is this one girl has a monster inside of her, kind of like a Cthulhu-esque monster, and so she's kind of like, anyway, it just goes from there, and it's very much you don't see a lot of comics that have a high fantasy theme to it, and so if you like high fantasy, this is a great book. It was also an Eisner winner. It is absolutely amazing. And actually, I got to see her speak at New York Comic Con. It was really great because every girl has a monster within her waiting to get out. It's really good. So my next one I'll go right into is definitely for the older teen or adult. This is much more of a mature comic. It's called The Black Monday Murders, and it's by Jonathan Hickman, who's currently writing X-Men. And it reads as kind of like an archival portfolio of this business. And it turns out, like, the whole premise is, what if the stock market and all of the money in the world were actually controlled by, like, these families that have been, I don't know, making sacrifices to, like, elder gods for years, but also trying to backstab each other so they can be in control of everything. So it's super violent and super bloody, so this is not for the faint of heart. It is a horror comics, like I said, it's for the very much older teen or the adult. But it has a little bit of a mystery in it too, because you get other information as the reader from the files and stuff, so it's pretty cool. And this one there's only two volumes of it, so that one was fun. And then my other one is an adult book. Teens could also read it too. It's if you want like a really good ghost story that has a ghost monster type in it, read Joe Hill's Heart-Shaped Box. So the main character in it is like kind of like a Trent Reznor or like, I don't know, Alice Cooper or like Marilyn Manson type musician, and he hasn't really done anything in years. And he's also the kind of guy that has a lot of girlfriends, and maybe he's not like the best boyfriend. Like he just kind of like is with a girl and kind of like goes to the next one. And because of his whole spooky image, he also has this thing where he collects like haunted things off eBay, and so like he bought this haunted coat, and it pricks him. And then all of a sudden this monster ghost starts showing up and like haunting him, but he can't get rid of him. And it's really great. This one will definitely scare you if you're reading at night. If you don't know, Joe Hill is also Stephen King's son. He also wrote Nosferatu, which has a TV show on AMC now, I think, or FX, one of the two. And then he also wrote Horns, which was a Daniel Radcliffe movie. So this is really good and spooky. So those are my picks for this week. Yay, monsters.
Alright, we'll see you guys next week.